Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. In keeping with the theme for yesterday's morning briefing about doing business with black businesses, I've been wondering whether to tackle this subject at all, and I've decided I might as well throw in my 2 cents. Now, this story's been out there percolating for a while, but of course, as you guys probably guessed, I don't care for the individuals involved, so I didn't want to have to say anything about it, but I guess it's time, so here's the upshot for those who aren't familiar. DJ Penis Envy of the Breakfast Schlubs has been making headlines recently. Since nobody cares about this clown's radio show, you can already guess the attention he's getting isn't good. One of Envy's frequent guests on the Breakfast Schlubs was a guy named Cesar Pina. The feds are accusing Pina of pulling a real estate Ponzi scheme. As of this recording, they have not arrested DJ Envy, and he is of course pleading innocence, saying that it was Pina who was truly to blame, and that he was just helping to spread the word about this enterprise. But the victims of this Ponzi scheme, they're not saying that at all. They're blaming DJ Envy as part of it. We'll get to that in a moment. Joe Budden said that Envy had tried to get him to give some money to Pina's operation, but Budden said it was obviously a Ponzi scheme and he wanted no part of it.
Calls me as someone that he is not speaking to. We have not spoken about anything. And he calls me and starts talking about some real estate shit. For me, that's odd. We don't speak. And now you calling me, telling me that your man's with the government and he could get the buildings and there's a list, it'd be me, you, and Queen Latifah and whatever the fuck he was saying, because I was walking my dog in the backyard or something. I want to stop listening at this point. But that just sounded fishy. You give me some money, we're going to take it, we're going to get this, we're going to get that, we're going to... And my brother...
To real estate, I call 3 people. I call Clue. I call Fabulous. I call Joe Budden. Right? My Desert Storm family. And I said, hey guys, I'm doing real estate. This is something that I think that, you should invest a little bit of money in, try it out, and that way you can do it. Joe Budden told me it was a Ponzi scheme and I was going to go to jail.
No comment from DJ Envy. An inside source tells us that the iHeartRadio offices were visited by the feds who took out electronic equipment as part of this investigation.
Envy himself said that Budden had warned him that he would go to jail if he did this. Now, can you blame Budden? Envy, who doesn't contact you regularly, out of the blue suddenly calls you up, and it's to ask about money. Now, would you welcome a call like that? I mean, forget about who it is who's making the call. I can't think of anybody who actually wants to talk to DJ Envy. But despite Budden's advice, Envy kept going on anyway because there's no cure for stupid. And now this happens. Gee, if only someone had warned him. Oh, wait. So Envy was out here promoting this scheme. He was endorsing it. Envy was doing so-called seminars with his buddy Pina. He frequently had Pina on the Breakfast Club to talk about this so-called business venture. Envy was doing the most to promote this thing and signal boost it. This Pina character had used his money to help establish a presence for himself on radio and television, so people would naturally assume that everything had to be on the up and up and there would be no problems. Look, family, these radio stations and TV networks, they don't do any sort of due diligence for the advertisements they run. Some shyster pays their money for a media buy so they can get some FaceTime or some airtime on TV and radio, and as long as the check clears the bank, then these TV stations and networks will let them on. That's how that scam FTX roped in so many people. Sam Bankman-Fried used his money to buy the naming rights to a sports arena, and that was important because tens of millions of people watch basketball games. And when they tuned in, they would see the name FTX on the hardwood of that arena every time the NBA played a game there, every single time, and they would naturally assume that FTX had to be legit because certainly the networks and the people who own the arenas and such, and the sports teams, certainly they wouldn't let these guys' name be on TV without checking them out first, right? Look, just because somebody's on TV or radio, that doesn't mean that the broadcaster has actually vetted them. That's why they do those little disclaimers about how they don't stand behind the claims made by the advertisers. Showing someone's ad or allowing their logos to be seen on your airwaves doesn't necessarily constitute an endorsement, though doing seminars with someone, singing their praises, and telling people to put money into their venture does. According to court documents, Pina and his business partner, a well-known disc jockey and radio personality, operated a company that conducted real estate seminars around the country. Together, they used DJ Envy's celebrity to promote various real estate enterprises that Pina controlled. Well, the feds must not actually listen to the radio much, otherwise they know that the last thing DJ Envy is a celebrity. But this is what the feds are writing in the paperwork regarding this fiasco. And all this promotion worked, by the way. People put money into Pina's little hustle, and now that it's all predictably gone to hell, you got Envy saying he doesn't know anything about it. Quote, "I never stole anything from anybody. I ain't stole nothing from nobody." Well, the victims of this scam are saying that they were taken for millions of dollars, and now Envy's being sued by a number of them. The investors and their lawyers say that it was precisely his celebrity, quote-unquote, that happened to help so many people feel that there was something legitimate about this. Clearly, none of the investors were going to be handing over money simply because Pina wanted it. You have to have somebody whose face is out there, whose name is out there, and who people have invested in psychologically. That's where DJ Envy comes in. Now, I'm not going to pile on because, as we all know, Envy's personal life has already blown up into the public discourse, and it ain't nothing nice. But the reason that I'm mentioning this at all is because as black folks, we do have to perform our due diligence. This is what can happen when you endorse things. You had Steph Curry, Tom Brady, Shaq, and others endorse FTX, and they've all become subjects of lawsuits by all those angry crypto bros. Again, people just assume that these big stars wouldn't stand in front of a camera and endorse something without having checked it out personally, but it doesn't work like that. Celebrities don't do background checks. Long as the paycheck clears the bank, that's typically as far as their vetting goes when it comes to endorsements. Now, as I said at the beginning of this morning's briefing, DJ Envy has not been arrested. Will the feds get around to slapping him in handcuffs too? Reports are conflicting on that. Some have said that iHeartRadio's offices where Envy works at were raided by the feds and equipment was seized. But there's been other reports that say that the feds didn't raid the place at all. They simply came by to inform Envy that his business partner had been arrested. That's it. No raid performed, no equipment that got seized, nobody frog marched out in handcuffs. Well, I guess we'll have to wait to see how this all shakes out. Though, of course, you can already guess that I won't be holding my breath on this one, and I certainly won't be waiting in anticipation. Oh, and on a side note, I don't know how much Envy gets to host that crappy radio show, but it should have been 3 to 5 years. The rumors are that Envy's going to cooperate with the investigation, but the real question is whether iHeartRadio will cooperate with him. The white media has no permanent plans for any of their Negro flunkies, but these bootlicks never learn. Will iHeartRadio dump Envy? It's very possible they will. If they don't do it soon, then maybe they'll bide their time and see whether the feds turn around later and claim that they had dirt on Envy too. We'll see if they stick by him, but again, I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. I find it perversely hilarious, though, that this mental midget was calling himself trying to teach the black community about generational wealth. Oh, this was all about pure altruism. I mean, it's not like this thing's supposed to be for profit or anything. See, when the black media came on the scene 15 plus years ago, nobody was talking like this. The Breakfast Schlubs certainly weren't. They were just shucking and jiving and doing the usual coonery and buffoonery because that's about as smart as they get. But as the black media has continued to have an impact on the social discourse within the black community, it simply wasn't feasible for these guys to keep on doing nothing but the usual stupid jokes and acting like the class clown. Even they realized they had to start getting serious and talking about black people owning things. They had to start sounding more like us. But this is a level of conversation that class clowns like the Breakfast Schlub simply can't do. A lot of the idiots who had been in this space 15 years ago are gone now. Most of them realized that we were making them irrelevant, so they bowed out. Others still tried to hang in there, but just couldn't keep up. So this is what happens when people from the old dead black media try to use our verbiage, try to imitate what we say in the hopes that it will give them legitimacy and keep them from becoming extinct, at least for a little while longer. And when they try to put their nonsense into practice, it simply doesn't work. One thing's for sure, though. If you thought a white media flunky like DJ Envy gives legitimacy to anything, then perhaps I can interest you in buying some of my Colorado beachfront property, too. Good day and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Sherman Marshall, Yolanda Sapp, Wally Belisle, Tyrone Leake, and Curtis Fitzgerald. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.